You're typing a quick message to your friends, letting them know you'll be late. But as you try to send it, the message just won't go through. Frustrated, you try another social media platform, but they're all down. Suddenly, a notification pops up: all social media has been banned in the United States. What seemed like an essential part of your daily life is now gone. In this video, we'll explore what would happen if social media were banned in the US, from the immediate impact on everyday life to the government's response and the long-term consequences for free speech and international relations. Could modern society adapt to such a radical change? Let's find out. Social media has become an essential part of modern life, but several factors could potentially lead to its ban in the United States. One of the primary concerns would be national security. Platforms like TikTok, owned by a company based in China, have faced scrutiny due to concerns that they might be used for surveillance or the dissemination of misinformation by foreign entities. The possibility that sensitive data from American citizens could be accessed by outside parties poses a risk to national security, leading some lawmakers to consider stringent measures, including a possible ban on these platforms. Another factor that could drive such a decision is data privacy. With growing concerns about the misuse of personal information, such as the highly publicized Facebook Cambridge Analytica case, there is increasing pressure for tighter regulation of social media platforms. The lack of transparency in data collection and use has sparked debates over whether these platforms should be more heavily regulated or even banned to better protect citizens' privacy. Additionally, the role of social media in foreign interference during U.S. elections, particularly highlighted during the 2016 and 2020 elections, adds further concern. The use of these platforms to manipulate public opinion, spread misinformation, and influence election outcomes could push the government to take drastic steps to safeguard the integrity of the country's democratic processes. Lastly, the impact of social media on mental health, particularly among younger users, is an increasing concern. Studies have linked excessive use of these platforms to issues like anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. These social impacts could serve as a catalyst for government intervention, potentially leading to severe restrictions or even a total ban. The sudden absence of social media in the United States would have an immediate and significant impact on daily life. For millions of people, social media is not just a tool for communication but also a primary avenue for maintaining personal and professional relationships. Without access to these platforms, communication with friends, family, and colleagues would be abruptly interrupted, causing a widespread sense of disconnection. People would need to rely on more traditional methods like phone calls, emails, or text messages, which, while effective, lack the instant connectivity and multimedia capabilities that social media provides. This shift could be a considerable adjustment for those accustomed to the ease and speed of social media interactions, potentially leading to frustration and challenges in staying connected. Moreover, social media has become a major source of entertainment and information for millions of Americans. Without it, users would need to find alternative forms of entertainment, such as watching television, streaming videos, or engaging in offline activities like reading or physical hobbies. The sudden disappearance of social media might also push people to rely more heavily on traditional news sources such as newspapers, television, and news websites to stay informed about current events. While some might see this shift as a positive change, potentially reducing the spread of misinformation and fake news, others could view it as a negative development, fearing that the reduction in diverse, independent perspectives could lead to a more controlled and less dynamic flow of information. The impact on businesses would also be profound. Many companies, especially small and medium-sized ones, rely heavily on social media platforms for marketing, sales, and customer service. These platforms provide a direct line to consumers, allowing businesses to engage with their audience, promote products, and respond to customer inquiries in real time. Without social media, these companies would lose a crucial communication channel with their customers, which could lead to a significant decline in sales, reduced brand visibility, and a potential loss of customer loyalty. Businesses would need to pivot to other forms of digital marketing, such as email marketing or search engine advertising, which might not only increase operational costs but also require a steep learning curve for those less familiar with these tools, ultimately reducing the overall effectiveness of their campaigns. Finally, the ban on social media could trigger a wide range of emotional reactions among users. Many individuals who depend on social media for social interactions and validation might experience feelings of isolation, anxiety, or even a loss of identity, particularly those who already struggle with mental health issues. Social media platforms often provide a sense of community and support for users, and without them, maintaining social connections and finding emotional support might become more challenging. This could potentially exacerbate feelings of loneliness and depression, leading to a broader public health concern as people navigate the psychological impacts of this sudden digital disconnect. In the face of a total social media ban, the U.S. government's response would be crucial in maintaining public order and justifying such a drastic measure. The government would likely argue that the ban is necessary to protect national security, safeguard citizen privacy, and preserve the integrity of elections. However, these arguments would face significant legal and social challenges. Domestically, the government could be confronted with widespread protests, legal challenges based on First Amendment rights, and growing public distrust, as many Americans might see this action as an overreach of governmental power. To manage potential social unrest, the government might implement various strategies, such as launching communication campaigns to explain the reasons behind the ban, and working to restore public confidence in alternative forms of communication. These efforts could include promoting secure and privacy-focused communication tools as alternatives to social media platforms. Additionally, the government might consider temporary restrictions on other civil liberties to prevent disturbances, though such actions would likely draw severe criticism from human rights organizations and the international community, which could view these measures as a form of censorship or excessive control. Internationally, the response to a social media ban in the U.S. would likely be mixed. Traditional allies, such as the European Union, might express concerns about the impact on freedom of speech and digital rights. These concerns could lead to diplomatic discussions or even strained relations, depending on how the situation unfolds. Meanwhile, geopolitical rivals like China and Russia could seize the opportunity to criticize the U.S., bolstering their own narratives about information control and government intervention in the digital space. They might use the situation to highlight what they perceive as the hypocrisy of Western democracies when it comes to free speech and information access. Furthermore, the ban could trigger a series of international economic consequences. US-based technology companies that operate globally could suffer significant losses in revenue and influence, as their platforms are no longer available in one of the world's largest markets. This could open the door for alternative platforms based in other countries to fill the void left by American social media, potentially leading to a reshaping of the global digital landscape. New players might emerge as leaders in the digital space, altering the balance of power in the global technology industry. The consequences of a total social media ban in the United States would extend far beyond the immediate impact, deeply affecting society, the economy, and even global politics. In the long term, such a ban could lead to significant changes in how people communicate, consume information, and engage with the world around them. One of the first long-term consequences would be a shift in communication methods. Without social media, there could be a resurgence of more traditional forms of communication, such as discussion forums, independent blogs, and even a return to online communities based on email lists. These platforms, while less centralized, might create a more diverse and potentially safer digital environment. However, they would also be less accessible and less user-friendly to those who have grown accustomed to the convenience and immediacy of social media. This shift could lead to a fragmentation of online communities, where communication is more dispersed and segmented across various platforms, potentially reducing the widespread reach that social media currently offers. Economically, the impact would be profound. Businesses that rely heavily on social media for marketing and sales would need to find new ways to reach their consumers. This could lead to increased technological innovation, with the development of new digital platforms or the reconfiguration of existing ones to fill the void left by social media. Companies might need to invest in more sophisticated customer relationship management (CRM) systems and targeted email marketing strategies, which, while effective, could be more resource-intensive. However, it could also result in an economic slowdown in sectors heavily dependent on social media, such as digital advertising and e-commerce, as these industries adapt to the new landscape. Politically, the absence of social media could alter the dynamics of civic engagement and activism. While social media has been criticized for amplifying misinformation and polarizing public debate, it has also served as a powerful tool for social movements and political campaigns. Without these platforms, citizens would have less access to diverse information, and the ability to organize and mobilize protests could be weakened. This could lead to a decrease in political participation, especially among young people and marginalized groups who rely on social media for organizing. On the other hand, this could also reduce the spread of misinformation and allow for more thoughtful and less reactionary political discourse. Globally, a social media ban in the US could inspire other countries to consider similar actions, particularly in nations where governments already exert tight control over information. This could lead to an increase in digital authoritarianism, with governments adopting similar measures to restrict access to information and control public discourse. Alternatively, the ban could spark a global movement advocating for decentralized and more resilient platforms that protect freedom of expression and online privacy. Such a movement could lead to the creation of new technologies that prioritize user privacy and data security, fundamentally changing the landscape of the Internet. In light of the possibility of a total social media ban in the United States, it's important to reflect on how deeply we rely on these platforms for communication, information, and even economic life. While this scenario might seem unlikely, growing concerns about national security, data privacy, and the social impacts of social media demonstrate that such a drastic decision is not entirely out of the question. Considering the long-term implications, it's clear that society would have to adapt in significant ways. Traditional communication methods might see a resurgence, new digital marketing strategies would need to be developed, and the political landscape could be profoundly altered. However, one thing seems certain: with or without social media, the need for human connection, the desire for information, and the drive for freedom of expression would remain powerful forces shaping the future. This scenario challenges us to think about the potential benefits and drawbacks of living in a world without social media. Would we be better off, or would the losses outweigh the gains? Leave your comment below. How do you think the world would look without social media? What would be the biggest challenges and the greatest opportunities? And speaking of challenges, our previous video explored an equally intriguing scenario: how the United States would react to a sudden economic collapse. If you haven't watched it yet, it's definitely worth checking out.